There is a particular kind of silence that doesn't come when you stop speaking. It comes while you are still speaking. A silence you can feel in the way their eyes drift, in the way their attention loosens like a rope slipping from your grasp. You are telling them something that matters to you, but your words land like raindrops on glass, sliding away before they can soak in. You notice the pause between your sentences growing longer, not because you want them to, but because you are waiting for some sign that you are getting through. A nod, a spark in their gaze, a shift in their body that says, "Yes, I'm with you." But the longer you wait, the more you feel the quiet truth pressing against your chest. They are here, but they are not here. It is a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from being alone. It comes from being invisible in the presence of someone you care about. You want to believe that if you just explain yourself better, if you choose the right words, if you speak more clearly or more slowly, you will bridge that gap. But instead, you watch your thoughts leave your lips only to dissolve into the air, never finding a home in their mind or heart. And then, somewhere inside you, a small and painful question begins to form. Is it me, or is it that no one really listens anymore? Yet, there is also another part of you, a quieter, stubborn part, that remembers the rare, golden moments when someone truly heard you. Moments when the world outside seemed to disappear, when you could speak without rushing, without defending, without fearing you'd be misunderstood. Moments when your words didn't just land, they bloomed in the other person's heart. Those moments are rare, but they are real, and they remind you that being heard is not a luxury, it is a need. Deeper truth. Here is the truth you may not have been told. Being heard has very little to do with the volume of your voice, and everything to do with the presence behind it. We are surrounded by noise, not just the constant hum of traffic, notifications, and chatter, but the inner noise that people carry with them everywhere they go. Their own thoughts compete with yours. Their worries about the future pull them away from the present. Their assumptions and defenses stand like guards at the gates of their mind. If you have ever felt unheard, it might not be because your words lack power, but because the person on the other side has not yet lowered their walls. And those walls are not always made of stone. Sometimes they are made of exhaustion, distraction, unspoken fears, or pain they have not yet named. We often think communication is about exchanging information, but the deeper truth is that communication is the act of sharing space. A conversation is not just two sets of words passing each other like trains in the night. It is two inner worlds slowly opening their doors. When you speak to someone and they truly hear you, it's because something in you has made it safe for them to receive what you are offering. It's because you've stepped into their world before asking them to step into yours. Think about the last time you really listened to someone, not just hearing the sounds they made, but feeling their emotions underneath. You didn't get there because they demanded your attention. You got there because they drew you in. Maybe they made you feel understood first. Maybe they slowed down, gave you space to breathe, and in doing so, made you want to give them that same space in return. This is why shouting doesn't work. This is why repeating yourself in frustration doesn't work. Because real listening is not triggered by force, it is invited by trust. Core message: if you want people to actually hear you, your first task is not to speak louder or to choose more clever words. Your first task is to create the conditions in which hearing becomes possible. That means you speak with intention, not just impulse. You softly listen as much as you talk, so the other person feels the conversation is a bridge, not a stage. You choose language that feels like it belongs to both of you, words that echo their feelings, their experiences, their unspoken fears, so they don't just hear what you say, they recognize themselves inside it. You are not here to force your words into their mind. You are here to open a door in their heart. And once that door is open, your words will not have to fight for a place. They will walk in gently, take a seat, and stay. This is the shift that changes everything. Stop trying to be heard despite the person in front of you. Start speaking in a way that makes them want to hear you. In the parts to come, we will explore how to do this step by step, moment by moment, so your words are not just sounds passing through the air, but seeds that take root in the soil of someone's heart. But before we move forward, remember this: you don't just want them to hear you, you want them to feel you. Because when words are felt, they are remembered. And when they are remembered, they have the power to change everything. How to talk so they actually hear you. First key, speak to their world before you ask them to enter yours. You cannot expect someone to fully open their ears to you if they feel that you have not first opened yours to them. Imagine standing at the entrance of a stranger's home, the door locked, the curtains drawn. You can knock, you can call out, you can demand to be let in. But the truth is, you will never cross that threshold until the person inside wants you there. In conversations, that home is the other person's inner world, their thoughts, their feelings, their stories they've never told, and most people live with the doors of that world only slightly ajar. They are used to others barging in, taking up space, speaking more than they listen. So when you approach them differently, when you ask about them before talking about yourself, when you show genuine curiosity about what they are feeling right now, you disarm the guard at the gate. You shift the balance. Your words no longer softly feel like an invasion. They feel like an exchange. The next time you want to be heard, begin by making them feel heard first. Ask questions that are not just "how was your day?" but "what's been weighing on you lately?" or "what's been on your mind today that you haven't said out loud?" And when they answer, don't rush to respond. Hold their words in your hands like something fragile. Let them see that you are not here to use their silence as a waiting room for your own thoughts. You are here to receive them. This is how you step into their world first. And when you do, the door to yours will open naturally. Second key, slow your words so they have time to land. The speed at which you speak shapes the depth at which you are heard. Too fast, and your words skim across the surface of the other person's mind like stones across water. They might nod, they might even agree, but they will not absorb. When you slow down, not to the point of dragging, but to the pace of sincerity, you give each sentence the weight it deserves. You give them a chance to breathe between your words, to softly feel the space your voice creates. This is not just about tempo, it is about presence. It is about showing, in the very way you speak, that you believe your words matter enough to let them settle. Think about a time someone told you something that stayed with you for years. They probably didn't rush it. They let the moment hold them, and in doing so, they held you too. When you speak slowly, you also invite vulnerability, because silence is where meaning grows, and meaning is what makes people listen long after your voice has faded. Third key, speak in pictures, not just points. People do not softly remember data the way they remember images. You can list facts, you can give logical arguments, and they may nod, but when they walk away, it is the picture you painted that stays alive in their mind. If you tell someone, "I feel distant from you," they may hear it. But if you tell them, "It feels like we're standing in the same room, but there's a glass wall between us," they will see it. And when they see it, they will remember it. This is why metaphors and stories are so powerful in conversation. They bypass the intellect and go straight to the heart. They make the listener feel like they are experiencing something with you, instead of just hearing about it. So, when you speak, try not to just explain your feelings, translate them into images the other person can hold. Don't just tell them about the storm, describe the rain dripping from the ceiling, the chill in your bones, the way the wind found every crack. When people can picture your words, they can feel them, and when they feel them, they don't forget. Daily practice for this stage. Every day for the next week, choose one conversation with a friend, a partner, or even a stranger, where you will deliberately practice asking about their world before you share yours, slowing your words and letting pauses be as valuable as sentences, using at least one image or metaphor to bring your point to life. Do not expect instant transformation. Communication is not magic, it is a muscle. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel, until speaking in a way that makes people actually hear you becomes who you are, not just something you do. You've already begun to understand that being heard is less about pushing your voice outward and more about pulling another person inward. In part 2, you stepped into their world first. You slowed your words so they had time to land, and you spoke in pictures that linger in the mind. Now, we move deeper into the unspoken territory where true connection lives. Because speaking so they actually hear you is not only about what you say, it is also about who you are being while you say it. Fourth key, let your body speak as loudly as your words. Your voice is not the only thing they are listening to. They are also reading the way your shoulders rest when you speak, the way your eyes meet theirs or avoid them. They feel the tension in your jaw, the rhythm of your breath, the openness or tightness in your stance. If your words say one thing but your body says another, they will believe your body. You can say, "I'm fine," but if your arms are folded, your chest is closed, and your gaze is averted, they will hear the truth your body is whispering. The most magnetic communicators are not those with the loudest voices, but those whose body and voice are in perfect agreement. When you are calm, your words are calm. When you are grounded, your tone is grounded. When you are fully present, your gestures move in rhythm with your message. So, before speaking, take a breath deep enough to quiet the noise in your mind. Loosen the grip of your hands. Unfold your arms. Look at them, not as an audience to convince, but as a human to connect with. When your body and your voice speak together, your message becomes undeniable. Fifth key, speak from the wound, not the weapon. There are two ways people speak when they're hurt. They either throw their pain like a weapon, or they offer it like a soft let. When you speak from the weapon, your tone sharpens, your words may be accurate, but they cut. And when people softly feel attacked, they stop listening, not because your point isn't valid, but because their energy shifts from understanding you to defending themselves. When you speak from the wound, you let them see the raw, human reason behind your words. You don't hide the ache in your voice. You don't mask it with sarcasm or anger. You simply show them what is real for you. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," you say, "When I'm speaking and you look away, it makes me feel like I'm not worth your attention." One closes the heart, the other opens it. This shift is powerful because it transforms the conversation from a battle to a bridge, and bridges invite people to walk toward you. Sixth key, anchor your words in the present moment. So many conversations fail because they are anchored in the past. You're not talking about what's happening right now. You're talking about last week, last month, last year. And the person you're speaking to feels like they are drowning in all the versions of themselves they used to be. When you anchor your words in the present, you remove the weight of history. You speak to the person they are in front of you, not the ghost of who they were. Instead of saying, "You always ignore me," you say, "Right now, in this moment, I need to feel your attention." Instead of saying, "You've never supported me," you say, "Today, I could really use your encouragement." Anchoring your words in the present makes them easier to hear because it removes the feeling of being judged for an entire lifetime. It tells the listener, this is something we can work with now, and the now is where real change begins. Daily practice for this stage. Over the next week, focus on embodying these 3 keys in daily conversations. Body alignment. Before speaking, scan your posture, your breathing, your facial expression. Adjust until they match your message. Wound, not weapon. When you feel the urge to lash out, pause. Speak from the feeling, not the accusation. Anchor in the present. Whenever possible, Replace past-focused statements with present-centered truths. Write down one moment each day where you noticed a difference in how someone responded to you when you applied these principles. Over time, you'll see that these aren't just communication techniques, they're ways of being that make you impossible to ignore. And remember, the goal is not to win a conversation. The goal is to make your words a safe place for someone else to enter. Because when your words feel safe, they will be heard. And when they are heard, they can heal. You have learned that to be heard is not about speaking more, it's about speaking deeper. You have stepped into their world before inviting them into yours. You have slowed your words so they could breathe. You have painted pictures instead of reciting points. You have aligned your body with your voice, spoken from the wound instead of the weapon, and anchored your words in the present instead of drowning in the past. Now, we arrive at the final steps, the ones that turn everything you've learned into a way of life. Because the art of being heard is not just for one conversation, it is something you carry into every exchange, every relationship, every moment when you need your voice to not just be noticed, but remembered. Seventh key, leave space for their words to meet yours. The most common mistake in communication is thinking that being softly heard means speaking until you are understood. But often, being heard means speaking just enough for them to respond. When you say something important, resist the urge to fill the silence that follows. Let the space breathe. Let the other person turn your words over in their mind, even if it takes longer than you are comfortable with. Silence is not always disconnection. Sometimes it is digestion. And if you rush to fill it, you may trample over the very moment your words were about to take root. Think of conversation like a dance. If you keep stepping forward without leaving room for the other person to step toward you, they will step back instead. But if you speak and then wait, patiently, warmly, openly, you give them the gift of entering the space you have created. Eighth key, speak for the relationship, not the win. There will be moments when you are absolutely certain you are right. Moments when every bone in your body wants to prove your point, defend your stance, and make sure the other person understands. But here is the quiet truth. Sometimes winning the point means losing the person. When you speak, ask yourself, am I speaking for me or am I speaking for us? If your goal is to strengthen the relationship, then your tone will soften. Your words will shift from proving to connecting. You will become less concerned with being right and more concerned with being understood together. This doesn't mean you silence yourself. It means you choose words that protect the bond while still speaking your truth. It means you value the bridge more than the battle. When the relationship wins, both people walk away feeling softly heard. Ninth key, end with something they can hold on to. The end of a conversation is not the end of your influence. It's the moment you leave behind the thread that will keep pulling at their thoughts long after you part. If you want your words to last, end with something simple and clear that they can carry. A sentence, a question, a promise. Something that distills the essence of what you've said into a form small enough to stay with them, but strong enough to keep growing. It could be as simple as, I just want you to know you matter to me. Or, all I'm asking is that we both try to listen before we respond. When you end with something they can hold on to, you make sure your voice doesn't just echo, it lingers. Daily practice for this stage this week, focus on 3 final habits. Pause after speaking. After every important statement, give at least 3 seconds of silence for the other person to respond or reflect. Check your intention. Before speaking in moments of tension, ask, am I speaking to win or to connect? Leave them something to keep. End important conversations with a sentence or image that sums up your softly truth in a way they will remember. The emotional close. And now, remember this. Being heard is not about bending the world to your voice. It's about shaping your voice so it can slip gently into the hearts of those who need to hear it. Every time you speak, you have the chance to plant something. Sometimes it will bloom quickly. Sometimes it will lie dormant, invisible, until one day it takes root when they need it most. You may never know which of your words will be the ones they carry for the rest of their life. But if you speak with presence, with care, with patience, if you listen as deeply as you want to be heard, if you choose connection over victory, then your voice will find its way into the places where it matters most. Because in the end, you are not just speaking to be understood, you are speaking to be felt. And when you are felt, you are never forgotten. If these words touched you, if they made you think of the people you wish could finally hear you, let this be the start of your change. Practice it, live it. Watch how your connections deepen when you speak with this kind of care. And if you want to keep walking this journey of healing, connection, and growth with us, gently tap the like button, subscribe to Heartnest, and let's keep building the conversations that change everything.